Hello everybody, my name is Sachin Bhandari and you're watching the Story Course YouTube channel. Today's video is special. It's special because in this video, I'm going to narrate the story of Professor Yuval Harari. Now, people who know me know that I am a Harari fanboy. I absolutely love his books. I listen to his talks all the time. In fact, I think part of the reason why I started the Story Course as well is because of Professor Harari. Some of his quotes and some of his theses say that human beings are a storytelling animal and we are not made of flesh and bones, we are made of stories. Of course, that's just sort of a metaphor. But it's very interesting to listen to his thoughts about storytelling, and maybe that's one of the reasons that I started the Story Course. So yes, super excited. Now you have to listen to the entire story and also stay back to listen to the communication tip that is linked to it, because that's equally interesting and that's something that I have picked up from none other than Professor Harari. So stay with me. I remember that I read Sapiens almost 3 years ago for the first time, and I was absolutely mesmerized. You know, it almost felt as if I was watching humankind's history in the format of a movie. You know, I could just visualize the characters, the time, etc., etc., and it sort of, you know, changed my outlook towards life, towards people, towards our world, and it answered so many questions that I had for so many years. But recently, David Perell, who's a writing coach, a very good one at that, actually did a video on why a lot of academics and historians are not fond of Professor Harari, or rather that they are very critical of him. Now the question is why? Somebody who's written such great books and has so many followers, why would he have these critics within the academic field? The answer is simple. Most of the academics and historians say that Professor Harari hasn't made any meaningful contribution to the world of anthropology and history. You know, he's not really come up with something new, any finding. He has not discovered something, etc., etc. And all of these claims, or all of these points that other academics and historians have made are true. Now, despite that, Professor Harari has millions of followers and he yields immense influence. And that, according to me, is the genius of this Israeli historian. Let me explain. Now, humankind's history is a topic that many of us were interested in, but none of us really understood it really well. We did not really know what to make of our history as a species, etc. Now, Professor Harari actually is the one who, with deep research and understanding and spending a lot of time, put together a simple and cohesive narrative around the history of humankind. So much so that now a lot of us are taking his narrative and are sharing it with others. So we all know history of humankind and we are sharing it with our friends, family, peers, acquaintances because of Professor Harari's work. So that is the genius of this Israeli historian. But the good news, while the story is about Professor Harari, it's always about what we can learn from these stories, right? The good news is that this opportunity is there in front of each and every one of us. Yes, trust me. Now, I'm not saying that each one of us should become historians and we should try writing the history of humankind, because that may not be possible, or that may not be what we are cut out for. But whatever subject or whatever area or whatever genre, whatever industry we are a part of, all of us can take a leaf out of Professor Harari's book and we can try and create a simple narrative around our particular area of expertise. Now, many of these opportunities they could be in AI, deep tech, crypto, blockchain, and this by no means is an exhaustive list. So the idea is simple. If you want to learn from Professor Harari, then it is, what complicated subject am I taking up and simplifying for others? So always try to answer this question. This is something that can help you build a business as well. It can help you improve your work, your personal brand, so on and so forth. There are many applications to this particular approach, but I'm not going to stop here. I'm also going to share a very interesting communication tip which Professor Harari has used in his books. Yes, so the communication tip that I wanted to talk to you about, I'll have to take a few steps backwards. After reading Sapiens, I haven't read the Homo Deus, but I have read 21 Lessons for the 21st Century and I absolutely loved it. I think it is a great guide for the future of humankind and also what you need to do as an individual. Now, in that particular book, I think Professor Harari wants to make a point that the world is changing really fast. AI and technology is going to take over menial jobs, etc., etc. He says that, but he uses one specific example to explain this to all of us. He says, let's take the case of driverless cars. So driverless cars in the future, according to him, are going to be a reality and there will be adoption at scale because of their safety and efficiency. So there is a case that human driven cars will be a lot unsafe when compared to AI driven cars. And why wouldn't you want something that is safer and that is more efficient, right? We would all want that. So that is why in the future there will be a great adoption for AI cars. What it will mean is that a lot of people who were drivers will be out of jobs. Now that's not a good situation, because at an individual level you need to figure out how to adapt your skills and learn something new really fast. But also as a society, for people who are in power, whether it's governments, whether it's people in the bureaucracy, people who are planning cities, societies, etc., etc., they need to figure out how to deal with this mass of unemployed people or even unemployable people. Now with this example, Professor Harari then says that this is not something that is going to be applicable only to drivers. This is something that is going to happen across the board. And when that happens, imagine the number of people who will be out of jobs. Imagine the number of people who will be unemployable. It's a very, very stark reality that all of us have to face as a society, as a species. So that is how you understand the future that we are walking into. And Professor Harari does a fantastic job of explaining that to us because of the fact that he picks up one example and narrates the future story in that way. Now, I have seen that many business leaders, entrepreneurs, founders, even professionals for that matter, whenever they have to explain their vision, their company's future, what is it that we are envisaging for our customers, for our users, etc. in the future, they tend to use bland statements or assertions like we are going to build a billion-dollar company, we are going to have so many employees, etc., etc. But the point is, these kind of statements don't really evoke the imagination of the listener, of the viewer. And that is why some of these points are lost on people. That's why we could take a leaf out of Professor Harari's book or his many books, even in this case, and say, what is the future story that I want to narrate? And also more importantly, what example can I pick and actually make people imagine the future that I can see? And that is how you can communicate a lot better with people when you're trying to communicate vision, future, change, etc., etc. So yeah, I hope this video and these tips have been helpful to you. I really enjoyed talking about this, talking about one of my favorite authors and also a historian that I really, really look up to. That's it, I guess, from the tips and the stories in this video. Like the Story Co is a storytelling coaching and training firm. We'll be very happy if you have any questions about communication, presentations, speeches, how to inspire your team members, how to tell your story, etc., etc. Me or one of my colleagues will answer your questions in the comments as soon as we can. That's it from me in this video. Till I see you in the next video, story on. Bye-bye.